registration. So we'll be going with that schedule for the course of this event. Once again, I want to apologize for starting late. So you hopefully you will not get tired of my apology. So yeah, let's begin. I'm excited. Was I muted? It's not audible. I'm not muted. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from wherever you're joining us from. As I said earlier, my name is Kingsley Amankwe, and I'm joining us live from the Unique Mappers National Office at Port Harcourt, Nigeria. I'll be taking the opening remarks on behalf of the National Coordinator, who is unavoidably absent at the moment. Then we'll proceed along with the order of our event. Thank you once again for joining us. Trusting your seatbelt, and we do hope that you have a very wonderful period with us. On behalf of the Unique Mappers Network, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to GIS Day 2024, a day to celebrate and explore the power of geospatial technology in shaping a resilient future. Today, we gather as a global community to reflect on how geographic information systems have transformed the way we understand, analyze, and address the challenges of our ever-evolving world, from responding to climate change and improving disaster management to driving innovation in agriculture, health, and urban planning. GIS remains a cornerstone of progress across sectors. Our theme for this year, Mapping a Resilient Future, reminds us of the critical roles map and spatial solutions play in building a sustainable, adaptable, and inclusive world. Whether you're an experienced GIS professional, a student, or someone exploring this field for the first time, your contributions are essential to shaping a better future. As we embark on this exciting journey today, you'll hear from our inspiring speakers, engage in insightful discussions, and participate in interactive activities. Let's make the most of this opportunity to learn, connect, and innovate together. Thank you for joining us, and once again, welcome to GIS Day 2024. Warm regards, Dr. Victor Sunday, National Coordinator, the Unique Mappers Network. So that's okay. Let me see if that's and I think that's good. Am I audible? The read them audible. I think if someone complains. Can we hear me? Let me start with that.
Yeah,
I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so sorry, I don't know who that was. So could you help me check from your own end? Mr. Obina, can you kindly check from your end? Probably it should be your speaker. Let me start that.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Not to waste our time, because I think we're wasted time so I will try to see how possible it is for us to keep to 12 or at least 12:30 because of the delay we had from our own end. I will just share the video we have from Jack Dangermond, I think that's it, yeah, the Esri CEO. Okay, so please, if you can't hear the video, just do it.
Hello, my name is Jack Dangerman, and I want to invite all of you to join me and my colleagues in the 25th annual GIS Day Celebration that's coming up. Look, 25 years ago, inspired in part by Ralph Nader and another group of people, we started this celebration event. And the whole purpose was to highlight the great work that GIS professionals are doing around the world. It was about having an open house, sharing with other people in your organization, sharing with your community, even sharing with kids in school, the power of geography and geographic thinking, and of course, GIS, and of course, the work that you do. So this is going to be a wonderful event. Help me celebrate this, and let's help educate the world to the transformational power that all of you are up to in making a difference with maps and spatial thinking. I'll be looking for your participation. See you shortly.
Okay. Okay. Let me disconnect it and move my system. Okay. Let me. Okay. So thanks for that. So next on our agenda, we have we'll be taking participant view on what GIS is from each and every one of us. So just it's more like an icebreaker question to each participant. So probably depending on who I may call or when I call, I may ask okay, sorry. I may ask your vision for the future of GIS, probably new challenges GIS can help to solve, challenges faced by analysts. How do you think GIS can be applied in your field? And that will be mostly for our new people that are not fully into the GIS world before we proceed with the event. So for my participant list here, I think I would start with Obianolu. So please, if you don't mind, you could unmute and for you, I would ask, what's the vision for the future of GIS? What's your vision for the future of GIS?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Okay, my vision for GIS, future of GIS, is that I'm hoping that one day we'll be able to solve climate change problems using GIS. We know GIS, Geographic Information System, is a method of acquiring spatial information. So I hope one day we'll get enough spatial information that will help us make appropriate decisions and take the right actions wherever to be able to solve climate change problem, because climate change actually is the in thing this period. We're having a lot of increase in heat, and when there's not supposed to be heat, late beginning of dry season, continuing of rainy season when it's past time for rainy season. So there's a lot of change, and I think one day I want us to really be able to introduce solutions to this. A lot of research and work are going on in that direction. But we as a community, or me personally as a member of the community, that's the vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Obina, can we have you? So I'll first ask, are you new in the GIS field, or you are in some level have an understanding of the GIS?
Okay. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. So I just graduated from the Department of Geography, UNED. So it's just theoretical knowledge that I have. I haven't actually practiced it yet.
Okay, so let me throw this to you. What are the challenges do you think GIS can help solve based on your idea or ideology of what GIS is?
Okay, I believe that as long that there are human interactions in whatever field or areas, and is within the earth surface or probably even outside the earth surface, then GIS can be used. For example, agriculture, planning, your climate, as they said, flood disasters, crisis. I don't believe that anything concerning human interaction with the environment, GIS can be used to analyze and solve problems arising from them.
Okay, thank you very much. Oluwafemi, so I'll ask you the same question. Are you familiar with GIS or you're new to GIS? Oluwafemi Olonibwa, please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrongly. Okay, in that absence, Priscilla.
Okay, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm new to the use of it, though I have just a little knowledge, but specifically being able to get information.
Okay, yeah, so I think probably later on we'll move on with definitions and
more precisely.
I think we're having network issues from your end.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So the question I'll throw to you is how do you think GIS can be applied in your field, in the very field that you are studying? Or
okay, yeah, I think being able to get information, being able to get more precise information.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can help solve agricultural.
Okay, I'll move on with to Samuel Amobi. How do you think GIS can be applied in your field? So you just let us know the field you're studying or the field you're working in and how you feel GIS can be applied. Mr. Samuel Amobi, if you're with us, could you please? Mr. Abdulwahid Abdurrashid.
Yeah, good day, everyone.
Good day.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So from
Okay, I think we're having network issues with Mr. Samuel. Mr. Abdurrashid, while we're waiting for him to connect back, could you take on? Moving on because of our time, Vic, if you're with us, could you help us unmute and give us how you think, or rather, challenges GIS can help solve in both present and future terms?
hello,
so,
please can you please come again, please?
Okay, Mr. Abdurrashid, since you're with us, how do you think GIS can be applied in your field? So you just let us know what field you're in, and you tell us how GIS can be applied in your field.
Right, I'm a cartographer, which I always deal with map and work with some analysis. I'm a research grades. I'm working with analysis in research, geospatial analysis and map making. Hello? Yes, that is all.
How do you think GIS can solve How can GIS come into your field as a cartographer?
In a lot of ways. Firstly, about data. How to if you get data, GIS can cartographer can do a lot of things that to produce a map, to rectify problem, to show the information without person get to the area to know the information of the site, and then to produce an area, find area, better area with the help of GIS analysis with data of airspace. Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Secondly, if you are talking about cartographer is not more or less like if you are talking about in all aspects you need if you want if person want to do anything on the ground you need to produce a map will serve as an information for a particular area to talk and to discuss much about the area without person get to the site. But the main thing about the GIS is that if you can have a lot of source to have data to acquire to have data source, it can make cartographer work gradually in modern analysis.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Move on to you. Challenges GIS can help solve.
What you said?
Okay, no, I'm trying a question to another person. Thank you, Mr. Abdul Wahid. We'll come back to you eventually as time goes on.
All right, no problem.
So Vic, if you're with us, could you give us challenges GIS can help solve? Because of time, Umahi, if you're with us, could you tell us the visions for the future of GIS?
Good morning, all. The vision for the future of GIS. I mean, the use of GIS cannot be overemphasized. I mean, in several fields, everything needs GIS, not just both in the academic sector, both in the engineering sector, both in agriculture. GIS is of paramount importance, and well, I would say I wasn't really prepared. I mean, your question caught me off guard, but I think the future for GIS is one that is, I would say, a bright future as people come together on days like this to, educate and spread awareness of GIS. If things like this continue, then the future seems bright. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for that. Okay, so not wasting our time, we have all had different perspective of what GIS can do in different fields and how it applies to our everyday life. So I would like to take us back to an Esri guide, since it's an Esri program. I would like to take us to an Esri guide on what is GIS, and we'll proceed with our first speaker that we have, Mr. Issa, and he'll be speaking with us on I call it the future of GIS. I think most times when I speak to him, we joke about it that I'm like, you are actually the one that will take my job in the future. If I don't learn how to code or do programming, I'll be obsolete when the future in the nearest future, because everything is heading towards programming. So he would be speaking to us in that aspect. But before that, let's just go through on what is GIS. So if you just to permit me, let me just okay. So let me get this up for us, then proceed.
What is GIS? Great question. Let's start with just one of probably countless examples we could choose from. So suppose you live somewhere like I do here in San Diego, where we are getting more and more floods, and you want to know if your home's at risk. You would want to know, are you in a floodplain? What about drainage? How much rain did you get? How might that change in the future? When you start to combine and layer all this data with GIS, you can actually see how at risk your home is to floods.
It's very often said that data is the new oil, and GIS is a confluence of all of the different data sources that we have now, whether it's from the sky or from the ground or from mobile devices. Anytime it matters spatially how two things are related, and that's just about everything in this world, you need GIS.
Whether you've heard of GIS or not, it's all around us. It's used by every major corporation to manage their supply chains and to pick where to build stores. It's used by utilities. It's used by transportation companies. It's used by every governmental body. But it's also about what's happening in your neighborhood, what's happening in your community, which is why it's kind of remarkable that so few people know about it.
A community occupies a space in the globe, right? For a city, the city is responsible for that space. From land parcels to where our utilities located, to the conditions of the roads or the transportation system. All of that occupies the space. And so I really can't see a way to manage all that without GIS.
With GIS mapping, we can work much more closely with communities that have been marginalized for so long. It gives you this ability to problem solve with so much more information. If you think about people are living on this much money and they have this size of household and they tend to be working multiple jobs, low-wage jobs, being able to see those layers gives you a different view so we can create a different future in those spaces.
In the GIS industry, some estimates are that it's going to double between now and 2027. Our clients use GIS in insurance to help understand risk. In agriculture, it's used to help farmers make better decisions about what to plant. We also see a lot of businesses looking at how they optimize their supply chains. You can look across your entire network of suppliers and make different choices to meet whatever your goals are. And it could be about saving money, it could be about efficiency, but it may also be about sustainability. And those things don't contradict each other, they can all come together.
GIS has been absolutely transformative. It's the ability to bring the art and the science of decision-making to the table. Let's say you're a retailer and you're thinking about expanding into new markets. You can look at, where do my customers live? Where do they shop? Where are my competitors? Combine all this data and you start to see great options for store locations. So we can use GIS to look at how their business decisions might impact their bottom line.
Turn around! Mudslide's coming down!
SoCalGas has 20 million customers who depend on us day in and day out to provide them with gas safely.
It's believed that more than 100 homes have serious damage, and there's real concern that residents may be trapped.
Montecito was a major event. We brought our GIS team actually on site to Santa Barbara, and they were working directly with first responders, and we could manage it together as a collaborative team. By having all of our data on GIS, it allows different departments to go to the same portal. They can look at, are there environmental layers? Are there urban planning layers? Are there safety risk layers? So we can make much more holistic decisions in real time. That's what GIS has done for us.
HDR is a global engineering firm. We do a lot of infrastructure smartly designed with the environment in mind. Bridge design, water treatment facilities, architecture. Our clients wanted to see data in a way that was easy for everyone to understand. Taking the GIS that's typically seen in a horizontal space into the vertical space, they can see project alternatives. It's really fun.
We can make hundreds, thousands iterations. Would there be more trees? How would that look? What about the volumes of the buildings, etc.? The decision makers can see how their money are spent, and the municipalities can see how their environment is developed. I think everybody wins.
IUCN is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. One of the key roles of IUCN is to convene all the necessary voices making the decision about what they can protect and where they can protect it. And it neutralizes the conversation. It does not become, I am arguing with you about this point. It's about using the map as the neutral space to share perspectives. So GIS is really one of the most important tools that's going to help the world to implement the appropriate conservation actions.
We have a lot of working landscapes that could also be conservation landscapes, as long as we work with landowners to make sure that their needs are met. GIS can help us spatially organize and visualize what's important for people, what's important for animals. So coexistence is really what we're fighting for here. GIS allows us to get ahead of planning so that we can have that coexistence.
So much of what people in developing countries face, whether it is the need for basic services or getting children to school or getting goods to market, it's all geographic. The Sustainable Development Goals are the objectives adopted by all 193 UN member states to make a better future. Every one of the 17 goals needs GIS. You cannot fight poverty without knowing where poor people are. You can't fight hunger without understanding crop yields. You can't have universal health coverage without knowing where the clinics are. With thousands and thousands of layers of data, it's unimaginable to be thinking about these issues without GIS.
I think a reason that GIS is used more and more is because it has to be. Many of the biggest challenges we're facing, economic, social, climate change, and biodiversity loss, have to be understood in a geographic context. And the good news, given all these challenges, is that GIS is more powerful than ever. And that means that all the things that maps have helped us to solve over millennia, we now have an even more powerful tool to do those things with GIS.
I think someone once asked me, is GIS for only geographers? So I believe with this video, we have been shown different aspects of GIS to tell us that GIS is basically for everyone, and everyone is expected, and it's a fun tool. It's a tool, actually. It's a fun tool to actually learn, to combine whatever you're doing in whatever field. So still on time, you would see I'm trying to manage our time. I would take it up to Mr. Issa, and he'll be taking us on Python in GIS for the next 20 to 30 minutes as the time goes by. So Mr. Issa, if you're ready, you can take up. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon from Nigeria. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you. First of all, is that I am at the top of this space center in Abuja here, so the network has been a bit unstable. I think it has logged me out 3 times because the wind has blown and network has gone with it. Sorry. Okay. So my name is Aissa Abdulaziz, and once again, thank you for having me here. Before I proceed, I would just like to make a little contribution to what was said just now, that if GIS is for everyone. So a brief background of me is that I studied chemistry in college before moving into software engineering. And it happens to be that in the past couple of years, the field I have been working on has been the remote sensing field as a software engineer. And so I have had a lot of hands-on experience on different research projects. And that is what I'd like to share with you, some of the industry standards. And of course, from the point of view of a software engineer. Going on, so we all know, I believe that a lot of us here know what GIS is. We already know how to perform very amazing analysis with maybe QGIS or ArcGIS or other tools we know already. Sorry, please, there is a noise coming from someone. I think Samuel Amobi. Is he an organizer, or can he please mute? It's distracting me.
Okay, let me get that distraction.
Thank you. Thank you. So the first thing I want to let us know is that whenever you perform very amazing analysis or projects, the goal is that you want to solve a problem, but then you just don't want to solve that problem on your computer. You want to solve it and show it to the world, be it for a business use case or for impact. And it is important to note that when you are solving a problem, the most effective way to ensure that that problem is solved is that when your solution is lasting. And so that drives me to my first point, which is automation. I think this is one of the top skill that I know that the remote sensing industry is in their need of. So as a software engineer, what I basically do is that I automate a whole lot of these GIS processes using code. I write Python, but when required, I write JavaScript too. So let's give an example of a use case. So let's say you are building you work for a firm and you are building a solution that maybe does soil health monitoring, crop health monitoring, right? And it does this by taking in, I will just simplify the problem. Let's say the rate of evapotranspiration, and it combines this with the soil moisture. So it combines evapotranspiration rate and soil moisture, and then tries to see which one is faster to see, to monitor, give you an assessment of drought for your crop. You don't want to always be getting data from the satellite and performing this analysis every time. It would be so exhausting. And it may be that the time you want to rest, that is when your soil is actually suffering, your plant is actually suffering droughts. It's just started its process of drought. And at that point, all your work that you have been doing may not count, because at the most critical stage, you are not longer there. So what you would want to do is that usually, even in business, a company who would hire you would require you to automate that process. This is where software engineering comes in. These things are not that difficult. If you already know this analysis, if you know the parameters you need to use to measure moisture, if you know this imagery you need to use, if you know the bands you need to use, and the band ratios you need to generate. So you just know that what you have to focus on now is just the syntax of a programming language. You can pick that up. And so the purpose of this is that when you automate this process, you can first of all ensure that you can first of all have a kind of confidence that all through the day of every week of every month that your algorithm would be running and you don't have to always be there. So the only time you need to probably check your plant is your farm is when maybe there is a trigger. And so if there is a trigger saying, oh, this farm here is prone to drought, maybe if it reaches a certain threshold, so the next thing you would want to do is then take action. So I think that is more effective, and I think that is what companies are looking for. I'm saying this because there is a report by NASA that there is actually a skill deficit, and this skill deficit is not that in the remote sensing industry. It's not that there are not professionals that know this skill. It's just that the skill that is required in practice is a bit different, or is a bit needs to be augmented from what we have learned in the past few years. And so that is why I'm mentioning that the first point of importance we should focus on is automation. If we are looking at how GIS is thriving today and how we can make impact, contribute to it significantly in the future. The second part I would like to mention is data. Has to do with data because data is very, very important in the field of remote sensing and GIS. And usually the quality of data you have determines to a great extent the level of accuracy of your results. So let's take for example, you want to monitor wildlife. I hope, sorry, just a show of hands. How many of us are into remote sensing? Can you just raise your hands up? So I can bring examples that we can relate to very well. Or if you are, okay, we have someone. Okay, so you use satellite imagery, right? Okay, cool. Okay, just one person. Okay. Oh, two. Okay, we have two people, all right. So I think there'll be chance for questions. So if you don't understand anything, you can always ask. Or you can drop it in the chat. I'm monitoring the chat too. Thank you for your response. So data is very important. So let's say you are monitoring wildlife. You want to build a project to monitor wildlife. I've had this kind of project before. They wanted to monitor elephants migration in the savannah. Sorry, elephant migration in the permit me. That was not savannah. Elephant migration in the what's this thing called? I can't believe the word has run out of my head. This place that is this natural habitat that is like a closed range where we used to have rangers. I've forgotten the word. It's not a zoo. A zoo is much more localized, is artificial. But I can't remember the name. Okay. But it's just like a natural park and what's this called? I can't remember. Okay, it's just like a place, a guarded place. Okay, change software using field map product. Okay, national park, yes. Like a park, yes, thank you. A reserve or a park, yes. So they wanted to monitor elephant migration. And the point was that, so they have rangers, right? And they have field tour guides. They have tour guides. So the thing is that, your elephants are probably here in this location on Monday. But then if people come and pay maybe $50 or $100 for a tour guide and they want to see elephants, you take them and move. When you get there, you see that maybe on Wednesday or Thursday, the elephants are not there again. And you would start looking for elephants. And it's somehow funny, and the situation is a bit funny, and it's bad too, because if I'm paying you for something, I want to see what I want to see, not that it would begin to look like you are just taking me around and they are not really elephants. So what we wanted to do was to monitor elephant migration. So in that kind of project, you may begin to think of what kind of data would you require. You know, we have different types of satellites, and we have they measure different things. We have the ones that measure land. We have the ones that are photochromic, the ones that respond to light, like reflection from the sun, right? And we have the ones that are like synthetic aperture radar, that are radar based. We also have satellites that respond to heat, and we also have so if you don't want to go to through satellite route, you may be thinking, should I put a GPS on this elephant? Would that be an optimal approach? So a lot of things will come to your mind, but one of the things you can look at is that, okay, we definitely can't use satellites for that are photochromic, because of we have a whole lot of things on the earth, and elephants are not really specific, but one of the things we can use is night light satellites that responds to heat. And I think this was one of the ways we had to approach that project, using nighttime satellite. So in nighttime satellite, the only heat you are expecting are hits that are like infrared, although they are hits from lightning and all, but you can look at patterns over time and try to understand which of these hits is not in correlation, which of these hits is an anomaly from the heat of the previous days. And so this is where you look at new, this is where you would be able to identify new objects and possibly the places of migration. Again, data is important. Before you know this is the kind of data you need, you would have done a lot of research. Still on data, there are lots of pre-processing that has to be done, and to ensure accuracy. As GIS analysts or remote sensing experts, you should know some of this pre-processing, which is some of them involve reprojection, so the appropriate coordinate system and all. What I also want to mention is that as data may seem a lot of things can be done with data, but data can seem very trivial to some people, which is actually very important. And I think one of the recent breakthroughs has been how to integrate data from different sources. So I know of a project where these guys, a couple of guys integrated data from Landsat, Sentinel, and they used it to kind of develop an AI model that does some soil nutrient prediction. And this was really good because in the days where Sentinel was not available, their model used Landsat imagery. And in the days where Landsat was not available, they used Sentinel. And then in the days where they needed a different resolution, a high resolution, they used Sentinel too. Satellites may not be available for many reasons too, which is that one of the reasons may be due to cloud cover, and especially for us in the tropics. And another reason may be due to their orbit revisit time. And so integrating data from multiple sources is a very important skill that I think is also taking shape currently. And I also see a very important use for it in the future. I just want to make the talk really short because I don't want to take so much of our time. I think questions would help us more. Then the last part, just a moment, I'm reading the chat section. Okay. The GIS software that we're using. Okay. So the last point I want to mention is regarding the field of GIS as a whole, what I see the future to be, and some of the problems that are not really solved and are important. Okay, so I told you I'm a software.
Apologies for that, you can continue. I think Mr. Esther is having network issues, but he's busy, so he will just reconnect his audio and he'll continue. Okay, while we're waiting for Mr. Issa to join back in, do we have someone here that started with us at the beginning? I think there was someone that said he had a little understanding of GIS at the time. So far, so good. I want to get a feedback on how the program is going and yeah, how the program is going basically. So I'm trying to remember the exact person that I had speak at the beginning. That wasn't well, okay, let's just trade out to the house while we're still waiting for you to connect back. So how has the program been so as it's going? Yeah, as the word. How's the GIS Day celebration? So anyone, please.
Once again, good morning all. First off, I'll start by appreciating the Unique Mappers Network for organizing such a program to celebrate this day, which is the GIS Day. And it's not every day you see such, and so far, I would say the program has been going fine, so far so good, and it's been innovative, and I'm really appreciative of what I've come to see. I'm really grateful something like this was put together, and I think it's a good one. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I don't know if it's just from my own end, but we can't hear it clearly.
Me too. I can't hear him clearly.
Oh, sorry. I don't know if you hear me now.
Yeah, it's much better.
Oh, okay. I was saying that first off, I wanted to thank Unique Mappers Network for organizing this program. I mean, it's not every day you see such, and so far it's been very innovative, and even as a geography student, I've come to learn new things, and I'm grateful to be here. And so far, the program has been going just fine. So that's basically what I was saying. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So far so good. Can you give us 2 key points you've gotten from our today's session? Don't mind me making this sound like a closing. We're not yet closing.
No. It's good. First off, Mr. Issa said that NASA said there is a lack of skill in remote sensing. I think that was something worth noting, and I think that's like a take home for me. I don't know. Maybe someone else can go on from here and continue on. Thank you, Mr. Kisi. I don't know if you got that, or do I repeat myself?
No, I got that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But do we have anyone that would like to throw in something else? Okay, Mr. Osman, you have something to say? We can't hear you clearly.
Okay.
The same. Okay, so
I think my network has brought me back.
Welcome. Okay, so let's move on with where we stopped. So welcome back.
Okay. Do I still have time, or because of our time, or should we? Okay. Maybe I can just quick round up.
So round up, yeah, just give 5 minutes, then
Hello?
we'll questions. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So the last part I was talking about has to do with the future of GIS, and it has to look at the field as a whole. Has to do with problems that are existing but hasn't been really solved. So I'll take this from my practical experience. I told you I'm a software engineer, and my field is actually machine learning. And what we do in machine learning is that we try to teach computers how to reason for themselves. It's not that you are telling it what to do, it's to tell it how to reason, just like if you teach a child how to identify cats, the child should be able to identify a dog as an animal. And if it sees a different kind of cat or a different kind of dog, it should also be able to tell you this is also a dog, and it is different from maybe an elephant. It's different from teaching somebody. So that is it, right? Teaching computers how to learn. And if you look at the field of GIS, it's a very complex field, to be honest. We have people doing amazing work, such as land cover classification. They are trying to model flood and trying to assess environmental impact of one or two activities, and even monitor the climate. But these solutions they have been building do not really, even the ones that have been automated, they do not have what we call a domain feature. What is a domain feature? A domain feature is like a lens representation. Let me give an example. If you build a farm a model that identifies farm boundary automatically. If you build it in Nigeria, right? Let's say farm boundary delineation model. Now, the problem with that is that, okay, it works perfectly in Nigeria, but it may not work effectively in India because we do not have the same landscape. And so when you take that model, you cannot transfer it. Another example would be climate for rainfall, especially when you model like a rainfall prediction algorithm, you may not be able to apply it somewhere else because they do not have the same weather pattern. And so this kind of land representation is what I'm talking about. There has to be some work to be done on. I'm saying this so that we can also think maybe when we are building projects on how we can work that can be done on creating like embeddings. Hello, can I hear something? Okay. Work that can be done on creating like embeddings.
Cesar, you with us? Okay, so because of our time, before he joins back, for those that have questions for him, could you just throw it in the chat? So when he comes back, we'll just read it out and he'll get to answer them. I'm trying to reach out to him to get network. It's wonderful there. Very so yeah, so we'll just try taking down the questions. So when he joins in, we can just read it out. Okay, then. So Mr. Isa, as I was saying, you just take up questions. Now that
Sorry about that. I think I'm done already.
Okay. So for those that have questions, could you just identify? So I will just ask, Mr. Isa, could you get a pen and paper? So you just note down the question. So we ask everything at once and you get to answer everything at once. Is that good with you?
Yeah, it's okay.
And I think we've lost him again. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take down the question from this end, and when he joins back, we'll just throw it back to him. So if you have a question, just kindly raise your hand and let's go on with that. So Kenneth Patrick. Okay, he typed his question. That's beautiful. Do we have any other question? Mr. Sam, can you kindly mute yourself? Okay, so could we have everyone go in that same order? So just type down your questions in the chat, and so it will be easy for us to throw it out to him once he's back in. Let me try reaching out to him to see how we can get him back as soon as possible.
Okay. Sorry about the network issues.
Mr. Isaac, can you kindly check if you can see the chat? So I'll know if I'll have to read the questions out from this end, or you could see it from your own end.
Oh, the chats have cleared. I can't see them anymore.
I would read that out. So I think I would start with mine. So could you just help us with like writing it down so that we will just throw everything to you and you'll get to answer everything at once?
All right, no problem.
Okay, so someone that is interested in going into programming in GIS, for example, where do I start from? So what advice would you say? Like what steps do you think I should take to progress in programming? Let's use that word, programming in GIS. So yeah, that question. Then let's read out another one. We have from Eneche Patrick. I heard something about embedding. So I think to make it easy, I'll just copy that and paste it. Yeah. So I'll just still read it out. I heard something about embedding or dealing with models in different settings. This is an area I am working on. I can share a thing or two if anybody is interested. Okay. Then we have from Okay Obina. As someone looking to specialize in the field of geospatial data science, is it necessary for me to understand data structure and algorithm, or is it the knowledge of the different libraries used? Or is the knowledge of the different libraries used in the field enough? And let me see if there's another one to read out. Okay, from Fejiro, which programming languages are commonly used in GIS application and why? Let me scroll down and see if we have one. Okay, I think that's just straight. Before we go on, do we have anyone that didn't drop theirs in the chat that has one to throw out?
We may not find the right thing.
Okay, so in that absence, If there's anyone, please just drop it in the chat. So, Mr. Isa, you turn to the 4 that we have. Thank you.
All right. All right. I hope the network doesn't log me out again, but I'll try to answer all of them as fast as I can. So if you are going into programming, you want to delve into programming, but you already have a knowledge of GIS and spatial analysis. What I would advise you to do is to learn Python programming language, because that is very, very common. I mean, it's very easy to enter. The entry barrier is very low, so you can easily learn Python. I'm not saying it's going to be like a piece of cake. It's not. Like everything in this life has its area of difficulty, right? You will definitely face challenges when you are learning something new, but everything is hard at first until you master it. So of course, Python is relatively easy to learn, and a couple of libraries. There's a lot of support for geospatial science in Python. I know of libraries like GeoPandas for handling spatial data. I know of PyProj for reprojection. There's raster.io for handling raster. There's GDAL. Although some of these libraries were built on C++, which is a low-level programming language, but it is better you learn Python, because ultimately when you build these applications, when you do this analysis in Python, it is easier for you to now push them to web. And Python is a language you can also use for web. So I would advise you to learn Python first, understand Python, and you can apply it. You can use those analysis. You can do those analysis you already know in Python. Very simple. I don't know if that answers the question. Oh, but I can't really hear that. Okay, I didn't really hear, but I'll go to the next question. The next, hello?
Okay, let me speak. Okay.
Hello?
Okay, just give me a second. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the explanation. But is it possible to use JavaScript? Because into JavaScript already, so
Okay. You can use JavaScript. So you can use JavaScript, but what I know about JavaScript is that JavaScript is a language for the web. And you can do a lot of amazing visualizations with JavaScript. Of course, Python is not a language for visualization. You can use JavaScript for visualization, but when it comes to analysis, maybe handling data frames, and maybe raster preprocessing, and even handling SAR imagery. What I use is Python, because I'm very familiar with Python, but I'm not familiar with the libraries in JavaScript, only for visualization. That is what I know JavaScript is for. But you can explore options. I know they would have.
all right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. I'll go to the next question, which is, I heard something about embeddings. Okay, I think that's the next question, right? Embeddings. Oh, embeddings is really interesting. If you have a project, you can perhaps reach out to Mr. Kingsley, and he can, I think so, right? And he can maybe get in touch with me or anybody who is interested. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's very much.
Okay. Then I also wanted to mention something else about embeddings for people who do not really understand. So embeddings are like learned representations. So let's say in English language now, there's what we call sentiment analysis. And how we do it in machine learning is that if you have a word, this is a bad fruit. Each word has a sentiment attached to it. So bad has maybe a very negative sentiment. And so when you calculate the sentiment of that word, because of this is a bad fruit, right? Because of the word bad, it may have an overall negative sentiment. But if you have this is a fruit, it may have a neutral sentiment because there are no bad words and all the words are neutral. Maybe they are like 0.5, 0.02 sentiments. But if you have this is an excellent fruit or this is an excellent meal, excellent has a very high sentiment attached to it. And so the overall sentiment of that word is going to be highly positive. The effect of this is done by people who are like researchers in that field, experts in that field. They're the ones that attach sentiment to each word in the English language, and that's why we are able to do a lot of analysis. That's how we're able to do ChatGPT and all. So if we have those embeddings in the geospatial science to know that, okay, if you build a model for Africa, you know that this is a tropical region. And so those embedding, those already learned representations should be able to inform whatever you are building so you can achieve a fully automated system. And that is where the embeddings come in. The next question. And the next question is, as someone looking to specialize in the field of geospatial science, is it necessary to, okay, wow, cool. Is it necessary for me to understand data structures and algorithm, or is the knowledge of different libraries used in the field enough? I'll give you a very sincere answer. Whenever you learn programming, it is important that you learn data structures and algorithms. And the reason is because the purpose of learning data structures and algorithm is not, okay, the purpose of learning a programming language is not just to write code, right? There is a kind of thinking that comes with learning how to code, right? And it is more like a problem-solving mindset. And you can only learn that from data structures and algorithms, to be honest. And that is why you see many interviews in top companies ask for, many coding interviews have data structures and algorithms. It is because of data structures and algorithms help you to think on how to solve problems. And I would personally advise that you learn data structures and algorithms, at least at the basic level. It doesn't stop you from learning those other libraries you need. You can just go straight and learn your libraries, but as a person, I think it will be more efficient. You become a more efficient geospatial data scientist if you understand data structures and algorithms. I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah. So yes, you should learn data structures and algorithms. Which programming languages are commonly used in GIS applications and why? I just mentioned that Python is used, JavaScript is used. My experience is with Python. The only experience I've had with JavaScript is for visualization. But hello, what did you say? Are you saying something, Babafemi? Obafemi? Okay, no.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
I didn't hear what you said.
Are you saying something? Your mic is on mute. It's not muted.
No, okay. No, it's okay. No.
Okay, please. We're hearing background noise. Can you help us?
Okay, yeah, I just muted.
Thank you. So, which programming languages are commonly used in GIS applications? Yeah, Python. I just said Python has a lot of support. Let me give you a trick from experience. If you want to learn a language for something, you have to check the community support. How do I explain this? You have to check the community support, right? So I would advise you learn Python if you want to go into core programming for GIS, like if you want to go into the core automation part, like you want to build system, you want to build automation, you want to automate maybe data acquisition, and you want to do machine learning too and AI, you would use Python definitely. But if you want to go into visualization and you want to create stunning maps, you would use JavaScript for that. And also, if you want to, again, okay, yeah. And again, the community support I'm talking about is that recently there have been some shift towards using SAR imagery. Before, people used to use Snap. I don't know if you know of Snap. Is a tool, I think, by Sentinel. I can't remember who has that tool. So please pardon me if I can't remember. They use it to pre-process SAR imagery, synthetic aperture radar. But now some support have been developed to use Python for it. It may take a while, a long time before people in JavaScript start using it. I don't know. But if I want to go into core programming for data science, I would use, or remote sensing, I would use Python. And then for visualization, I'll use JavaScript. If you are if you are more into Google Earth Engine, I think Google Earth Engine is more of a mix of Python and JavaScript. So, I mean, depends on the platform you want to use. Are there free courses that I can do to help me with Python? Yeah, you can check on Coursera for free courses. I think Coursera is no longer completely free. I think they just offer 90% scholarship now. But you can check free courses to help you with Python. You can check Coursera, then you can also you can find some very cheap courses on okay, yeah, I know a course you can use, you can learn. You can also use Udemy doesn't have free courses. Okay, you can check Udacity. Let me put that in the chat session with session. Udacity, I think they have an introductory course, Udacity. They have an introductory Python course. You can take that. Then when you finish, you can take a training course by RSET, NASA. I think they offer training courses on Python for geospatial sciences, remote sensing. They have different courses. You can check that. Their courses, RSET, NASA. Please check that out. And you can check Udacity for free Python courses. Let me see. Are there free? Okay. There's a lot on YouTube. Oh, somebody already answered. There's a lot on YouTube. Yeah. Download Great Learning from Play Store. Yeah, you can use Great Learning too. Yeah. In addition to Python and JavaScript, it might be helpful to also try Typee. Oh, I don't know Typee, but sounds cool. Okay. Free open source. Okay, somebody also is sharing. Thank you, Patrick. Is sharing some interesting resources. I think those are all the questions that were asked. Right.
Okay, thank you very much. Before you go, I'm new into GIS. Let's put it in that. And so far so good. In your speech, I've heard you say a lot about SAR data, if I'm correct. Yeah. So could you just explain SAR data is? I've been hearing it, but I do not really understand it.
Okay, no problem. So SAR is short for synthetic aperture radar. It's a kind of data wave that, it's not, it's a kind of this data that uses radio waves, I think. It uses radio waves. It's sorry, not radio waves, sorry. It is around its frequency is around the radio wave wavelength. Yeah, radio wave wavelength. And what does that mean? It means that it has the capacity to completely penetrate cloud. It has 100 penetration level for cloud. So it is not obstructed by cloud, it is not absorbed by cloud. Usually, it is used to monitor water bodies and earth, what's the word for this? Earth and the earth land. Okay, this is not the perfect word, but let me just use landscape in the sense that if it is coarse or smooth, let me explain. So if you have a building somewhere, it can tell you that you can get like a rough estimate that this is a building, this area is of a building, this area has what tarred roads, this area has a lot of drainage system, this area has plants, and so you can get that rough imagery. So SAR image is not really high resolution, and it also has a lot of noise. They call them speckles, I think. And there are different SAR missions. SAR is different from the normal photochromic, normal imagery satellites, like imagery satellites, because it does not directly depend on the reflection of the sunlight from the earth. It doesn't even use light. So it emits its own waves and measures back what is left, what is reverberated down. SAR is measured at an angle. So when you are considering using SAR, you should also, oh, thank you. Thank you, Sulaiman. And when you're also using SAR, you should consider the angle of measurement. Also, I'm trying to approximate everything about SAR. Sorry, I'm trying to approximate everything about SAR. SAR is also, so you can use it to make up for the days that maybe Sentinel is cloudy, because at that point you have an estimate of what is on the ground. And so when you are doing interpolation for cloudy imagery, you can use SAR to give you context for that. Also, SAR is a bit underexplored in this part of our region because of the skill gap required, but I know of some guys that are doing amazing work with SAR. There's also INSAR, like combining, it's also like has to do with, I think, combining one or two or more SAR imagery to give you a better representation of what you're trying to monitor. SAR actually in general requires much more specialized skill than the conventional imagery we have. Yeah, but
Okay.
it's something we can explore. That's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ishao.
That's all from me.
Okay, thank you very much. I would have sure to give him a round of applause, but it may be a bit raw. Thank you very much, Mr. Ishao. I hope we'll still have you as the program goes on, so in case there's anything we may need clarification. So yeah. So let's just quickly move on and see how we can summarize every other thing we have for the day within the next 30 minutes, if that's possible. Let me just get the agenda out and yeah.
Business education,
Okay, so let me just quickly go through. I think we have two more topics on our line, so I'll quickly run through them, and we'll take a question generally. So in the question and answer session, what we'll do is more like it's a GIS session. I believe we have GIS experts in our midst, both new beginners, intermediate, and advanced in different levels. So we'll just throw out different questions ranging from your misconception in GIS, either you'll be working on a project, you've not been able to get a particular data. How can you get this data? How can you get that data? Places you could get to study and all of that. So we'll do that just quickly after this quick brush through how we do with both addressing climate crisis and the power of maps. So, okay, so let's just quickly run through that. Forgive me for saying quickly too much. Okay, so yeah, moving on. Addressing the climate crisis, why geospatial solutions are key to understand. Why geospatial solutions, can you check? Okay, sorry for that. Why geospatial solutions are key to understanding and responding to climate change. Next one here, right? Okay, so our introduction, climate change presents an essential threat to the environment, to marginalized communities, and to the economic welfare of our nation. There are 5 areas of opportunity for geospatial technology to integrate and build on existing strategic responses to climate crisis. So from those 5, we have extreme weather events, national security, protecting biodiversity, sustainable agriculture, and climate justice. Moving on, so here we have aligned steps that geospatial technology uses to make data actionable. We gather data, we analyze it, we map it, and we share it to our local community and beyond. So looking at those 5 strategic responses we spoke on the introduction, number 1 being extreme weather. The immediate and tangible impact of climate change are becoming frequent and severe from day to day due to the global warming, as we all know. GIS can help any country plan for and respond to extreme weather events through advanced analysis and situational awareness. Through partnerships and open data sharing with authoritative federal sources, ESRI provides predictive analysis data on various weather-related risks. We also make live feeds of incident data available as extreme weather events unfold. This information allows organizations to plan and prepare for extreme weather, monitor current situation, and react to them in real time. That's from ESRI. So just speaking a little bit on that. Okay. Just speaking a little bit on this, when it comes to collaborating with different bodies, I'll use Nigeria, for instance, the Nigerian Space Agency, for instance. So in recent times, Nigeria has been suffering flooding. I'll use that as an example. Nigeria has been suffering flooding due to one reason or the other, negligence from different parties per se. So over the years, I did my internship with NASDAQ. Let me use that. So that's why I'm able to give facts to what I'm about to say. So over the years, we have had collaboration with both the European Space Agency, NASA, and to this regard, we get satellite imageries. Just as Mr. Issa explained earlier, for example, we could get the Sentinel-2 images that comes out at a relapse of 6 days. If I'm wrong, please do well to correct me at any point in time. 6 days. So these data that are being collected from different agencies, because we may not have them at the time, or because our own satellites that are in space may not have a faster relapse time, unlike the European, the Sentinel satellites. So due to the partnership we have with other existing bodies and open data sources, we're able to predict, we're able to analyze, and we're able to mitigate these climatic issues whenever they arise, and in most cases, even before they arise. Let me not go down deep on that. Moving on, we have national security. Climate change is a threat multiplier. It magnifies existing geopolitical and weather-related risks, in turn, threatening global stability and security. For example, we have melting sea ice exposes new waterways for shipping and new land areas for defense installation, meaning it has an implication for sovereignty rights, commerce, and national defense. Location intelligence helps organizations identify related national defense concerns, areas of potential conflict, and threats to vulnerable populations domestically and abroad. So I think this example gave us more insight on this. I won't need to dive deeper on this. Probably if we have questions, that can come up in the question and answer session. So moving on, protecting biodiversity, slowing extinction rates and conserving 30% of American land and water by 2030 are among the key executive actions that President Biden plans to prioritize for tackling climate crisis. Together, these approaches make up one of the biggest shifts in U.S. conservation policy since the Endangered Species Act, and the timing could not be more dear. The world's wildlife and ecosystem are facing existential threats. We must firmly commit to their protection now before it's too late. And so I'll just quickly move. I think we're running out of time already. And then we have sustainable agriculture. It is vital to establish and expand programs that encourage ranchers, farmers, and landowners to implement science-based approaches that help draw down atmospheric carbon. Key approaches include conservation tillage, planting cover crops, reforestation, and using methane digesters for livestock operations. Farmers can benefit from state-of-the-art technologies to compete in world markets while protecting American soil and water. For example, Biden plans to create more jobs in related manufacturing and technology fields. Spatial data can play a key role in forecasting how climate change will impact fundamental agricultural variables, as well as discussion on how to maximize crop yield. And moving on, we have the climate justice. In order to improve and maintain a clean and healthy environment for all communities, it's important to understand the root cause of pollutants and where their impacts are concentrated. For many years, marginalized communities around have suffered disproportionality of polluting facilities. The American administration plans to launch new environmental and climate justice initiatives, including mandating new monitoring in frontal and fence line communities, requiring community notification, and addressing targeted issues around affected communities. Okay, so this is just a reference point for the talk that we just had. Without any delay, moving on to the power of maps before we go into question, then we call it a day for today. So the power of maps. So we've basically been speaking about GIS, and as many of us know, GIS analysts in most cases represents whatever outcome we have in form of maps. And as it's saying here, maps are more than diagrams that help you to navigate from point A to point B. They are a window into information that allows you to explore, visualize data, and see trends to engage more productively. Maps can spark curiosity, provide insights, spur people to action, and help build solutions towards
also asking for the.
Okay, sorry for that. Let's proceed. And help build solutions towards a better future. So later on, I will share the links to this tutorial that we got these write-ups from. But because of time, let's just move on to the discussion. So from the tutorial that I'll share with us later along with our certificates, we have maps provide windows to information. Maps are data, maps are stories, maps can communicate emotions, maps provide innovative solution, and so on and so forth. I think I would stop there. Let's take up questions and see how the day goes. So yeah, so if you have a question, just kindly raise your hand. So now, not just a question from what you've heard today, probably curiosity, inquiries, whatever it may be that you want to share with us or ask with the community here today. Feel free to put up your hands and throw that up, and we'll see how we can answer to the best of our understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. So yeah, so I'll be anticipating our hands up before we proceed, while we Okay, Pedro, we'll take your question, then if any other question comes in, then I will also ask mine as well. But I'll say. Let me ask that one here.
Good everyone. Right. When I joined the Unique Mappers network newly, you know, as let's say anything. So after hearing about how the sense they can come in and make impact, I went back to my department to tell my colleagues or just mates about GIS and how they can come in. And most of them were like, okay, what if I'm not good at or if I don't know any programming language, how can I still contribute to the GIS world and everything? So I did not have anything to say to them because I believe as computer science that you should at least you know one or two programming language because it's really going to help you out a lot. But what if you don't know any programming language? How can the computer science students contribute to the GIS world?
Okay, so I think I can throw that to the house, right? Yeah. So do we have anybody that could respond to that? Okay, Mr. Patrick, please, you can.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Personally, I want to, based on what he said, I will just quickly add my own voice in saying that not all GIS is code-based. It's not like you must be a programmer to do GIS. There are also some tools which are low code-based. You really don't need to do much. You just need to know what you want to achieve and you plot it in, although you may have limitations. However, it's still a good entry point for some people. Even some computer science students don't go into core coding, as the case may be. Because for me, we need everybody on the desk. Everybody have their own core competencies, which we shouldn't hide away from or maybe make it so strict, for people to be part of it. So if you have your own core skills, you have your own foundation, you can build up from there. I mean, we also have people who are more engaged in storytelling from arts and humanities who are also coming to this drawing board. Nature, of course, abhors vacuums. So if we don't tell this story, someone else will tell it. That's what it means. And as much as possible, for me, I would say it's easy to go on YouTube, watch some of these things and see it at work. It could actually spur up a lot from people. And if somebody is always waiting for you to come back and give them, okay, what you found, you spoon feed them, maybe your colleagues you are trying to bring in, if it doesn't boil up from them, if they don't have that personal attachment to this, it will be difficult to stir this up in them. So most of what we can do most times is to bring people to the drawing board. I mean, even when we work if you're in research or something, the best way you can actually make societal impact is not by even publishing articles. It's more like bringing people to the door to see what you are doing. I think for me, that is it. Even the people in the offices that apply these results, not all of our stakeholders are experts, like code experts, and we want them to implement these things. So somehow we just have to make some of these things, demystify some of these things. Let me put it that way, because some people, like when they think of GIS now, the only thing they think of is it has to be code. You need to learn some MADAS GIS tools and configurations, all the coding things you can think of. But it's not always like that. So we really need to understand our own strengths and, of course, our weakest links and see how we can build all together. Personally, I love to also work with people who are non-experts, because even the people who take decision, even in our country today, it's not like they are doing all of these things with GIS. Some of them are not even data driven, but they still carry out the decision. All of us will still get into it. So if we open up our arms wide, bring in everybody in, then it's fine. So about programming. Even me, when I came into GIS, I started GIS, I think from 2012 or so, 2012, yeah. See, then we had nothing to do with programming. We only had, okay, fine, we had some pops in, ArcMap then that we could, switch to programming and do some few tasks, maybe sieving and SQL and all that. But that was all we did. But now things change, so that does not mean everybody must follow that suit. So I think we should all understand this in our engagement with the society. Thank you so much. That's from my side.
Okay. He sent just Pedro sends regards from here. So thank you very much once again, Mr. Patrick. Okay, Najibola, your hands up. You have something to add or something to ask?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm Najib Ola. Sir, you're not loud enough. I don't know if it's just from my end, but I can't hear you clearly.
Najib. Yeah, can you hear me clearly now? Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. We can manage it.
Okay, I'm Najib Ola by name from Great University of Abuja from Departments of Software and Geoinformatics, sir.
Okay, sir.
So, yeah, my question goes like this. Although the question is a rudimental question in GIS, so why there is no specific symbol among the GIS or map makers to represent the map orientation?
So could you come again? I tried changing my to be able to hear it clearly.
There is no specific symbol to represent the map orientation among the GIS or the map makers.
It's just me. Or could you? Okay, just help us type in type out the question.
All right.
That would really help. Thanks. Okay, so while we're waiting for his question to come in, any other question? Okay, Mr. Patrick. So, Mr. Najib, we'll keep waiting for your question in the chat, please.
Okay. As soon as the question comes in, please, I could just stop. But I just wanted to, acknowledge, the privilege to be here today to join this. I think it's my first time in such a meeting as this. So I really appreciate all those who have, made this possible. And thanks to Dr. Victor too, who sent a link on Geographers Forum. So I was very happy when I saw it. And yeah, I quickly joined. I really love the type of discussions we've had today. It's really nice. Thanks.
Yeah, nice having you here. Okay, Mr. Najib, we're still waiting for you. I think
Okay. Sorry, can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
Yes, please feel free. Yes, please.
Okay. My name is Lucky Blessing from University of Abuja, Department of Surveying and Geomathematics. Okay, so my question is, what are some people that do not have a background in GIS and you want to learn? Like there was a time I went to S3 website to get a course for beginners. And
most of the ones I saw there that are free, they are not starting from the from the beginning, which is from the foundation. So in a situation like that you want to grow your knowledge, you want to know more about GIS, but the materials you are seeing are not are not foundational material. So how are we going to for someone like me now, how am I going to get something that I can work on?
Okay. When you know what we'll do from our end, still in celebrating the GIS Day, when sending out a mail after this, what we'll do is we'll try creating a curriculum for GIS beginners, let me use that word. And with that curriculum, we'll try attaching videos and tutorials both from Esri and YouTube as much as we can. Okay, yeah, so we'll try creating something like that and sending us alongside with our after remarks for through mail. So what I'll just do before that, I want to okay. So Mr. Najib, I've seen your question. I'll just give me a second. Let me just quickly drop this link. Okay, so I'll be sharing the registration link one more time. I'll really appreciate if everyone on the call can actually fill that in again. So even if you registered before the meeting or after the meeting, so as of now, 12:55 p.m. West African time, or whichever time it may be in your own end. So kindly just help us fill that form so we can actually know, get your email address, and so we can send everything we promised to send across to you later in the day or tomorrow as the time goes. Okay, so Mr. Najib, let's go with your question. Why is there no specific symbol in representing map orientation among GISers? Let's see. Sometimes not arrows, sometimes compass rules. Okay, I think Mr. Patrick has replied to that. Okay, Mr. Patrick has replied to that, but then the second one, but I would still love if we could get someone else that could add more light to what Mr. Patrick has said. Then secondly, what is the concept of spatial autocorrelation in GIS? So I would like to have someone within the call to throw more light to what Mr. Patrick has said. So let's first hear Mr. Patrick. So Mr. Patrick, if you can just re-say what you typed.
Okay, thank you so much. And it's a very good question. I think that came from Najib Ola. First of all, even before, let me put it this way. When you start doing introduction to map making, or maybe you are from surveying and geoinformatics, you guys also work with maps and survey plans and all of that. You have what we call conventional signs and symbols, So if somebody who is working in maybe doing planimetric maps, somebody doing transport route maps, somebody doing tourist plans and maps, there are different ways at which each of these, teams will really want you to put in the signs and symbols. If I'm doing something for tourists, there are some things I would not use. There are some symbols I wouldn't use. So long and short of it is, for everybody who is out there generating maps, there are some of these items you have to really be in tune with. It's not like there's a hardcore standard everywhere that everybody must, before you produce your map, you send it through a review process, and after reviewing, it comes up, So, but everybody, and that is why this principle of making maps is something that goes beyond just making maps. You really need to, know the essence of why is this not arrow here? Why am I going for this type of north arrow? Why am I using a magnetic north, not the true north? All of those elements you see on a map is more like a cartographic visualization system, which must be clearly understood. Even the characters, the type of lettering you use is also important. So these are called cartographic communication skills that every GIS professional should at least be aware of, because maps are communication devices. Most times it's just like the same video you watch, it communicates. The same map you see, in fact, now we have dynamic maps even. So maps that changes with time or in seconds or something like that. So we're only trying to communicate. So there's always a standard idea or maybe standard persona that you're trying to capture. Even the type of map you generate tells the type of cartographer you are. Let me put it that way. So, but in a long sense, like in a nutshell, actually, if you go through even the cartographic standards or conventional signs and symbols, you can see exactly what are those things that even the Nigerian own system of cartography has already aligned with before now. So it's either we move with them, or perhaps maybe because we also have the Nigerian Cartographic Association, maybe they too come up with something, update what we have, or but definitely that's how it's like. So it's not like everybody's using everything and there's no standard, no, it's not like that. There's always this need for people to abide, but maps mostly don't come with, you send it to maybe the office of the surveyor general first. He approves it before you bring it out. Even in the survey practice, you get to see that same line of site plans coming up. Different states have their own type of survey plans, what they call survey plans. So every state has its own format, and most times you go through, everybody uses that format. Even within that format, within the state, at times you might still see some sort of tilts somewhere. So yeah, even if you submit to the survey general of that state, they will still approve, but that does not mean that is the standard of the state. So I think we should know our context in most times, but we have standards when it comes to map making, even in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. I would love Professor Bafemi, if he's with us in the call, to help us with question number 2 from Mr. Najib. What is the concept of spatial autocorrelation in GIS?
So you have to understand the theory before you be able to do this. But there's no output here. I don't see anything, but something's happening in the background. So I need to take it and explain it. So when you want to
Mr. Samuel, please. Thank you very much. Okay, Professor Bafemi, if you're okay. While we're waiting for him, do we have anyone that would like to try that out? What is the concept of spatial autocorrelation in GIS?
Hello, can I maybe just say a thing or two to that question?
Okay, yeah, fine.
Okay. Well, generally, since it is more, like you've already put it now that you are from Uni Abuja, and that is for Ola. I'm very happy that you are participating in this. Very well done. And let me quickly just say that it's all these things we're talking about stems from the old practice, the old tradition, that everything is related to everything else. I think if we start from that point, it makes it a lot similar. But again, everything related to everything else does not mean they have the same degree of relationship. The things that are very close to some other things or things are in close proximity are much more, tend to interact more, although they are related, but they interact more than things that are far apart. And for the best of what we know is that when you are dealing with things that are very, very much close together, the way you treat them should be different from how you treat things that are far apart, or maybe the type of conclusions we derive from them should also follow in that mindset. And that is why spatial autocorrelation is also something of interest to us, particularly when we are doing things like point pattern analysis. If you want to check the relationship between A and B, if A is close to B and they are related, the relationship it will have is different from when A, who is also related to C, is in that same space. So how we put all of these things helps us in understanding spatial pattern of phenomena, of even futures, of even projects, of even disease outbreak, of anything you can think of. People who are in a particular place will transmit more, diseases, or maybe transmit more airborne issues compared to people who are far away from that place, although they are related. And that is how we have a declining curve. If you now draw it from the point of origin to maybe the outer point of the destination. So this is a nutshell, but again, it still boils down to how we deal with geographic issues in space. I think even if not for anything, let's just hold that down, that whenever we talk of spatial autocorrelation, it is how we deal with the phenomena in space, in geographic space, that we are referring to. And so normally you should just, if it's in basic statistics, you don't have a problem. You can just do your statistics. We don't care about if they were really related to each other before running the statistics, except maybe you run some, pre-analysis first to check for that, But for us, this is where you now start bringing in longitude and latitude to check how related these things are. And you now start either removing, because there are some models you need to run. And it also builds on the fact that there is no spatial autocorrelation that exists. So you might now need to handle that first before you apply it. So like the Getty's odd, GIS statistics goes in that line. So if something is random, if something is dispersed, these are the kind of things we are trying to look out for. Is it this randomness? Is it a problem? This randomness, is it good? If you're administering questionnaire, if you say you did a random, sampling techniques, yes, it gives us an idea of how you collected your data. But if you now add the spatial autocorrelation part that talks about how far apart are these randomness that you administered, then you can now start beginning to see other patterns in your kind of data. So these are the kind of issues that surrounds issues like spatial correlation that we're discussing now. So automatically some of these things are there, and that's why we say autocorrelation. They are already there. So if something is already relating to something that you're studying, I mean, it's best to isolate, then you work with that individual and how it relates to others. So most times we say check for autocorrelation, and so that you don't come up with a model or maybe a result from a model and it's actually not the reality. So it's very important both at the low level and equally at the high level for understanding our geographic space. I think that is all I can say for now, and I hope it was able to touch different aspects that could maybe explain it better. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Najib, if you will talk, okay. Could you clarify if we're good to go? Okay, while we're waiting for that reply, I think we have one more question. I think that'll be the last question. It's already after 1. As we said, it will be a 2-hour program. So, okay, I have a question. This from Victor. I have a question. As a student studying geography and environmental management, what do you suggest I do after graduation, after I graduate rather, to keep myself busy in this country? So yeah, okay. I would still like to throw that out to the house. Could we get someone to speak other than Mr. Piper? I think he's been the one mostly speaking throughout today. So, okay. So yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so in the absence of any reply to that, I think let me just give something short. Then I think we can close for the day. Okay, so basically, I'm studying geography and environmental management. Geography is a broad course. So over the period of your study, you should have picked up a course. Let me use a course per se. You should have picked a course that you have interest in, either climatology, um, GIS, and the number to mention. You should have a particular one that you gained interest in, find a way to solve a solution in that very course. There's always a problem somewhere, it's just for you to sit down and find that problem, get a solution to that problem, and I think that's a good start. Once you get a solution to that problem, bring it out and people will find you. Yeah. Tonight we have babies in our midst. Okay, yeah. I think we'll just have to wrap it up for now. We have extended, I think, 2 hours, 30 minutes. It's been nice having everyone here, but before we close, I don't know if it's possible we could all turn on our camera. Let me just take a screenshot from this side for record purpose. Okay. Let me put the camera. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's been nice having everyone here from the beginning till now. I think while we're still waiting for others to turn on their camera, I don't know if one or two persons could just say a word or two of the program so far, what you learned and what you intend to see in the future based on your knowledge from today.
Good afternoon once again. Can you hear me, sir?
Jonathan? Yeah.
Once again, I'm Najib Ola, by name from Great University of Abuja. So my unreserved profound gratitude go to the organizers of the program of the GIS body, my lecturer as well, whom without them I'm nothing, and who I am today. So my gratitude go to them as well. So thank you for whatever you do for us today. Thanks for the dedication, the sacrifice. God bless you that much have done. So we learned much so far. of which if we could start be mentioning it from now to end, so we won't say it all. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
Could we get one more question? Okay, so on behalf of the National Coordinator of the Uniform Park Network, I once again want to appreciate everyone for joining us today. It was really a great time, and I know we didn't waste our time here. So as I said earlier, for a recap of this session, it was streamed on YouTube, so feel free to go back anytime to check it out. Okay. So feel free to go back, and we'll send out certificates and other things that we promised to send before the week runs out. So thank you very much, everyone, and happy GIS Day to you.
Thank you, and happy GIS Day too.
Honest,